Hey, good people. How is it going today? This is Rolo from Rolo Runs the City with JT Podcast. I am your co host, Rolo C, with my man, Mr. JT. Let the people know how you doing, sir.
Hey man, in the building, second time back. Uh, like my man May says, welcome back, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Outstanding. Well, it's it's not early, but it isn't late. It's late, but it's not early. I'm just playing. It don't matter what time of the day it is. I hope you're enjoying the podcast wherever you are, what time that you're listening to. Anywho, you already know this is a podcast that's strictly dedicated for self improvement, of course, professional development, personal development, and making sure that you're doing what you got to do to enhance your mind in any way possible. And we always have a topic of discussion. And our last topic was about leadership, but this show's topic is about accountability. And the reason why we want to talk about accountability is because it's just one of those major things that you actually do need to become very successful. Those who aren't successful do not take accountability for anything. So the reason why we're telling you about accountability is because if you become more accountable, then you'll notice that you'll basically take less shit from yourself and putting up with your own BS, and you'll start getting on the move doing what you're supposed to do. There's a lot of times where people try to justify their actions or make excuses so they can avoid the hard work, and that's something that they shouldn't do. So when you take accountability and you start really working towards something, when you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to feel like shit for not doing it. So accountability is a great thing that we've actually embarked on as human beings. Well, who's actually want to take accountability because it's the only way we improve. It's the only way we get better. And it's funny because, of course, accountability ties into leadership. You want to be that person that is not really there to take the credit, but always there to take the blame. And whenever you feel that you're taking accountability, you're in control of your situation. When you don't take accountability and you're actually, you know, veering off and putting the blame on somebody else, that's when it comes to a point where everybody's playing the blame game. And especially when you're in a leadership position, when you take accountability as a leader, you're taking accountability for your team's mishaps, organization's mishaps, then, your subordinates, your superiors, I mean, and those coworkers amongst the like, get to a point where they're willing to take a bullet for you, and it's like, no, it was my fault. This is why this happened. This is why that happened. And instead of playing the blame game and start finger pointing, you get to a point where everybody starts being accountable for what's going on, even if it's a situation that basically went sour. So accountability is very key. So we definitely want to harp on accountability on this show. And JT, what's your take on accountability, sir? And how do you feel about what we're about to get into?
well, these days is going crazy. I mean, it's no secret. So I know a lot of things are being said. A lot of things are not being done the way that is what presented. And then when those things don't come to fruition, then you have some people who uh, won't own up to the uh, the ball being dropped, and it's only going to get worse through time. So, in order to make it through these times here that are coming up in the near future, um, I mean, the better you're accountable for yourself, I mean, the better you'll be able to withstand, uh, some of the craziness that's about to occur. And it's all just about being um, just regular human character in general, what things used to be. I mean, they present things into a way where they try to take away from those key aspects of life. But as people, we have to keep it alive for the people that do know and that do still uh, rep that. And we have to make sure that we reach out to our loved ones and then the loved ones who reach to their loved ones to keep this this important aspect of life intact.
Couldn't agree with you more, sir. All right. Well, we're going to get started with our first topic of the night. And of course, our first topic is about Brian Kemp, our faithful governor of Georgia. He actually was one of the first governors to open up his state for business during the pandemic in the United States. So, JT, I want to know what's your take on the call that he actually made on opening up. I believe it was on April 24th. He pretty much opened us up back for business of this year while everybody else was pretty much shut down. And I just want to know what's your take about him actually making the move and the accountability or the non-accountability that he's been showing in his leadership role of trying to uh, combat the COVID-19.
Okay. Well, before I actually get into the actual topic, I'm going to go back in time for when he actually became the governor of Georgia. The accountability issue from Stacey Abrams, who actually probably would have won the governor of Georgia, but the incident and things that happened and accountability that did not take place in her party, which led to her having to drop out and actually basically hand the governor position to uh, current governor Brian Kemp. So that was accountability in itself. Then the recent incident of Ahmaud Arbery down in Brunswick, which which is Kemp. Brian Kemp actually had took a picture with the guys, with the victim, the suspects that are involved, with that tragedy. So that's another accountability uh, line with him. So those two before the actual one, which happened now, which is opening the state back up for business. Um, Once again, I felt like overall, with the country opening as quick as it did, was probably the wrong answer. But Brian Kemp, who decides to, hey, like I agree with with President Trump. Well, that don't make it any better. So that shows that both of those accountabilities were pretty much, um, in my opinion, they were unruly, and they're looking more for the economy of the United States than looking out for people in general. Um, you know, what to me, if you want to really put a hold on this virus thing, and you really want the economy to bounce back, why couldn't you just have a whole country shut down, let the virus, die down and or end, and then bring everything back up at once? Like, why did certain why did certain states had to jump the gun to get started opening back businesses when actually Atlanta was not as bad as like New York and LA and New Orleans and Seattle, places like that, but they still had a decent number of cases and or coronavirus patients and deaths. So I felt like that was a little too early for my well liking, and probably for a lot of other people. But um, once again, this is the government, and you know who they really after, or who they really looking out for. So that's what I'm saying. As people, we have to be prepared for their decisions. There are going to be a lot of accountability issues they're going to have between now and the future. But as people, we have to be intact. We got to keep ourselves in check and just prepare for the worst.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. I think many of the situations have been mishandled, and I really think that ego is no amigo. I heard that I heard Tony Gonzalez say that his mother used to tell him that one time. The great old Hall of Fame tight end from the NFL played with the Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons. He's absolutely right. Ego is no amigo. And I think these guys have huge egos. And of course, they have to have huge egos because, I mean, they wouldn't get to where they get to if they didn't. but doesn't mean that the ego serves him correct. So basically, what I want to get at is the fact that Brian Kemp, I think he really did make a bad call on prematurely opening up the state as opposed to kind of staying shut down like everybody else and waiting for a later date. But it is what it is. He went ahead, he opened up the state, and I truly believe that it was a bad call. I know he got the mayor of Tybee Island a bit upset because of the fact that he went ahead prior to him opening up the state on April 24th. Earlier, maybe a week earlier, he opened back up their beaches.
Correct.
So, obviously they're misusing manpower over there too because he was having state patrolmen over in Tybee Island, actually patrolling the beach, ensuring that people were practicing social distancing, as opposed to not stating that Tybee Island's a bad place you know and there's a lot of crime there. However, you're utilizing resources just to be on a beach to make sure that people are practicing social distancing, where that could all have been avoided if he would have kept the beaches closed. So I don't agree with that decision. However, it is what it is. He did what he needed to do, that he felt was deemed correct for the people of Georgia. You know, although we may have a issue with it, but like I said, the show is about accountability, and unfortunately, there was a lack of accountability because you may have been wrong in the situation, and it's okay to admit when you're wrong. But a lot of these guys, whenever they're making decisions and they want to stick to their guns, it makes them, I guess, in the perception of the people, makes them look weak if they turn back and said, "Hey, maybe we did this a little too prematurely." Personally, me, I would respect if somebody said, "Hey, granted, we screwed up, but we're doing what we can to rectify the situation." And unfortunately, that's not the case with a lot of these cases that are going on. So I think he did mess up by doing that. Um, it doesn't surprise me some of the calls that he's made, and it's very unfortunate. And then the funny thing is that he was in good cahoots with Trump about opening up the state, and then when he actually did open up the state, Trump threw him under the bus, stating that he was disagreeing with him at the fact that he was actually opening the state back up for business, which is ultimately what Donald Trump wanted. But of course, if it looks bad, Donald Trump knows how to throw somebody under the bus, so he's not associated with it. He's like, yeah, I'm not very happy with Brian Kemp at this time. And I mean, like I said, there's just no accountability taking place, and that's a big problem. Another issue that I actually have with the way Kemp is actually handling things is um, obviously the churches are being hurt big time. Now, granted, like I told you last time, I'm not so much religious. I'm very spiritual, but I'm not so much a religious person who goes to a church and gets with a congregation, things of that nature. But if that's what people want to do, then hey, it's their prerogative. They can do what they want to do. Bobby Brown said it best. But you know, it is what it is at that point. You know what I mean? And if you want to practice social distancing, and kind of having the congregation a little bit split up, so then that way, you don't cause any further spread, then that's okay. But I just find it very odd that Kemp is trying to put everybody back to work who can actually play, who actually can pay state taxes. Now, if you know the system with Georgia, and of course, much like most of the nation, there's certain tax breaks for not which is a lot of churches are considered nonprofit. They're not really going to benefit, as in the state's not really going to benefit off of a church operating because they don't really pay those taxes like a barbershop or beauty salon. You know what I mean? So it's like the issue that I run into is like, yeah, let's make sure that we open up business up, but we got to keep the churches closed down because the churches does not benefit the state by being open because they're not paying the same taxes that Walmart's going to pay, or or the local salon's going to pay, or the local bakery shop's going to pay. So it's definitely a conflict of interest. It's like we want people to operate under the entities that they can operate as long as we get paid for it. And if it doesn't really benefit us, well, you guys can stay closed. We want to make sure that we let this pandemic die down a little bit. No, no, you don't. When it comes down to it, everything's about money.
Yeah.
And I definitely disagree with the fact that he opened everything up early. To be quite honest with you, like, we've kind of integrated ourselves back into society, as in my family or whatnot. We went out to eat this weekend to basically, kind of enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. But I mean, we didn't go out to like a beach or anything like that, or we weren't around thousands of people. I mean, we went to an Applebee's, it was empty. We went ahead, enjoyed ourselves, ate, and we kept it moving. But you know, I think where this comes in, that seems to be a problem, is that I told my wife, when this whole thing started, when they started shutting things down back in March 16th, a couple months ago. And I said, I hope people can stay disciplined, do what they need to do, stay home, make necessary runs when they have to, things of that nature. I said, but I'm going to tell you like this, whether acceptance by the government or not, Memorial Day weekend's coming. People aren't going to be in their house. And sure enough, because, that's like the unofficial weekend that brings in the summer. And I'm like, yeah, like this social distancing crap, that's going to be out the window come Memorial Day weekend. People are not staying in their house to shelter in place. They're not going to practice social distancing practices. And sure enough, all around the country, people were celebrating the way they traditionally do during this time. So, like I said, it's there's no accountability, and we really want people to be accountable for their actions. Like, if you went out and you decide you want to go to the beach, and your ass got sick like a dog, and now keep your ass home for the next 14 days, because more than likely you got coronavirus. So be sure to keep yourself at home. Don't get anybody sick. That's a decision that you cognitively decided to make. So take the accountability of, yeah, that's what I get because, I'm a horny ass 20-year-old and I wanted to grind up on somebody's butt. So then that way I could go ahead and get my my anti-social distancing acts on, and it is what it is, so that's just basically how I feel about it now. And there's one thing that I can honestly say: if he were to come out and say, and just Brian Kemp would just be politically correct about the situation, it'll be fine. If he were to just say, hey, much like the HIV epidemic back in the mid 70s, early 80s, much like tuberculosis, hepatitis C, we ran into these epidemics and pandemics before. We're going to find out what's necessary to go ahead and see how we can move about normal life. And if he were to say that, then it would be cool, because it'd be like, okay, well, this thing's not going away, but not everybody's going to catch it. Like, you touch somebody, oh my God, they got COVID-19. Like, if you touch somebody, if you touch somebody with your elbow, oh my God, he's got hepatitis C now. If you go out and you touch somebody with a bare naked foot, oh my God, he's got AIDS. Like, that's not what's going on. So if we could just learn how to just be cleaner with ourselves, stop being a nasty ass, 20 seconds, wash your damn hands, use some damn hand sanitizer, take more than one shower a day, you will be fine. Stop touching your face. Stop picking your freaking boogers. Stop goddamn putting your hands all over your ass, and you will be fine. Obviously, Governor Kemp can't say that, but it is what it is. If he were to just be a little bit more real about it, of course, you want to be more politically correct to the situation. You have to, kind of bog down what I said. Can't be so harsh. But of course, this is our platform. We can say whatever the hell we want. Then that's what it is. But that's my rant. And that is how I feel about the situation. Accountability needs to take place, because in order for us to get better, man, we have to see what the problem is. JT, if you have a problem with your car and your check engine light comes on, there is a problem with your engine. Take it to the shop. You do not disable the light and say, oh, okay, nah, I disabled the light, it's fine. Then your ass is going to get stuck on the side of the road waiting on a tow truck. And then guess what? Now you're stuck paying 2 car notes. One for the car note that you didn't, I'm not paying for that car. The damn engine blew up. Yeah, well, guess what? You didn't have an accident. The car got messed up. You can't afford to pay for it. You're gonna still pay for it anyway. And good luck trying to get another car and get another note, and now you're stuck paying two. So the whole point is, what I'm trying to break down to people is, if there's an issue, the only way you can address the issue is through. You can't go around it. You got to face it head on. You can't keep running forever. Collections calls your damn cell phone. Pick up the phone. Hey, I'll pay it when I can. When I get it, you get it. Just think about it this way. As long as I owe you, you'll never be broke. It is what it is. You have to be very real about the situation. But I'm not telling you to avoid people or to be a wise ass like that. But at the same token, the only way to get through things is to actually get through them, not go around, not evade, avoid, through them. Accountability. What do you say, sir?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. And also, I want to add this to the collection plate. Sorry for the churches that have not opened, but so I don't know if Well, of course, we say we knew that was Trump's decision to want to open the country up anyway, or that never did even shut it down to begin with. So I can't, even though I know he does have to take some type of blame as far as Governor Kemp, but I can't really put the whole 100% blame on him, because once again, as a worker, you have a boss. And, if your boss says, hey, look, I want this to happen, you don't have too much of a choice if you want to keep your job. So,
Yep.
So, even though I know he's sometimes we say, if you're the person in charge, whatever, and things go wrong, of course, they're going to point the fingers at you, because you're the people that people below you actually see. But then, people don't see that maybe his boss told him these things, and that's where he's going, what I'm saying? They're going to get dealt with their bosses, but because they're so high up in the chain, we're not going to see that. We're only going to see what we're able to see.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever's available to the people is what'll be what's going to be visible. You know, so I can definitely agree with that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and exactly like you said, everybody has a boss. And unfortunately, he has his boss, and his boss threw his ass under the bus, and that's just what happened. So, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? So, that's definitely a great topic. I'm glad we hit on that, JT. Next, let's go ahead and keep it moving, and let's talk about uh, your guy and my guy, which he's not really our guy, but we'll just go ahead and roll with him.
Exactly.
for for the topic. It's a great discussion on accountability or a lack thereof. This is all about becoming better. And one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to be like Donald
No.
Trump. Okay. Now, I'll just be flat out right honest with you. Like, hey, like I am a conservative. I am not a liberal. Okay. And I'm not telling you this because I'm just some guy who's like, oh yeah, you bag on the Republicans because you vote Democrat. No, like I am a conservative, and I am just talking shit about this guy because he is not doing what he's supposed to do. Okay, so in reference to us talking about accountability, okay, we're not getting negative about it, but at the same time, we're being realist of the situation. You can't ignore what is in front of your face. Okay. Like this, you can't just say, oh, like I'm thinking positive thoughts. I'm thinking positive thoughts. I'm thinking positive thoughts. And there's a damn dumpster. You're literally in a dumpster fire. Like, sorry, you're gonna get burned no matter how positive you think. You have to be real with the situation. So it's funny. I wanted to harp on how Donald Trump at the beginning of this year, he actually went ahead and he didn't take the whole coronavirus, situation seriously during its inception back late 2019, back in November and December, when he was getting briefed and getting reports about the possible spread of this virus. Okay, and then at one point he even considered it to be a hoax. Okay, oh, this is. I will never forget. It was like this was planted something by the Democrats. I mean, it's just, the fake news. They just keep on. And I'm like, dude, like, fake news, my ass. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I truly, I don't like CNN news because they cater to the liberal media. So anything CNN news in reference to like audio, video, uh, articles, I don't look at it. Fox News, okay? Audio, video, articles, I don't look at it because they cater to the conservative
Right.
media. Okay. And me being a conservative, I don't even look at that news because I know it's so damn biased, and they're always they're always basically crapping on the liberals and talking about how high and mighty the damn conservatives are. So I don't look at that either. But I do like to look at stuff like MSNBC. I like to look at CBS News. I do like to look at NBC, ABC, which is kind of neutral. Like, hey, we're telling you what it is. Like, we have no political agenda behind what we're reporting. It's just reporting. Like the problem with CNN, the problem with Fox is that they don't have reporters. They have quote unquote political analysts and all this other crap. And I can give a damn what you have to say or what you think about the situation. Tell us what's going on so then that way we can make up our own damn minds. So, anyway, I didn't appreciate what was going on with Trump, the way he went ahead and was saying that it was a hoax. And I think a couple of people in Washington state had already died from the COVID-19. And this was at the point where our map was not completely red at all, that we were covered in coronavirus. This was when like they had a couple cases in Washington state, a couple of cases in Oregon, and I think they had 2 or 3 cases in California. And then everybody else was just like, you know, we were still like non-infected at that point. So, what do you think about him not taking accountability of the situation, taking it a little bit more serious, and on top of that, actually blaming the Democrats, stating that it was a political ploy for them to try to win the White House in 2020? What's your take on that, buddy?
Okay. Um, Before he goes and hit on a particular party for you know blaming this whole pandemic on, you need to think about whose decision it was to let those people come from China and depart to wherever they need to go and spread this virus around. Who idea was that? So before he goes and point at particular people and parties, he needs to look at his own responsible actions of this chaos that's happening. Okay. On that note, too, some of these people, and then because the news is not accurate in any news station, so always do your own credible research. Some people may have said that died from COVID-19, and they probably didn't die from COVID-19. Some people probably did die from COVID-19, but they probably didn't mention none of them. I've personally seen people being at hospitals, and I don't even know if they make the count or not, but they're definitely at the hospital. So with that being said, people are dying, and don't know if it's COVID-19 or any other illness, but the death toll is not a hoax. So whatever information or rants or just gibberish that he's throwing out there, the one thing I do know is that life right now is not a hoax. So if you're the type that sit here and listen to Donald Trump and take everything he says with a grain of salt, you're going to end up with a very, very nasty taste in your mouth. And hopefully you're able to wash it with mouthwash. But yeah, but yeah, it's some things that you have to say, look, read between the lines, and you have to understand what should be taken seriously and what not. But that's kind of a challenge on what they present to you. It's like, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of news out there every day. We're going to confuse you on what's really happening. But as being a knowledgeable person, it's up to you to figure out what really needs to be intake and what needs to be thrown out the window. So that's pretty much basically what I got to say about all that situation and what he says on a regular basis. But just know that this is not over, and this is just the start of a bigger plot. So be on your P's and Q's, and I know the summer is going to be a little bit better than the spring, but that will mean you should not prepare for the fall and the winter and next spring. Yo, what you feel about it, bro?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, man. I really do. I think it was just like I said, it was an ugly situation from the start, and we didn't take this thing serious. And now that it's here, now we have to figure out a way to actually get things done. And that's why I'm talking about being accountable. You know, accountability is so big because, like I said, we all make mistakes. And I'm not saying that we're entitled to make mistakes because some jobs are more severe than others. Like whenever you're dealing with human lives, there's no room for error. So that's just what I firmly believe. Like we served in the military, like we mess around and we send a damn convoy to a wrong area, and we're out in the sandbox. You know, next thing you know, convoy gets attacked, gets ambushed, lives are at stake, people die. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing as a surgeon who's actually doing heart surgery on a patient. There's no room for error. There's absolutely no room for error. You make an error, that person dies. This isn't a situation where we're like, oh well, you work at Amazon and you're like, oh, I dropped the package off at the wrong house. That's just an error we can go ahead and make up for, of course, because you can go ahead and send whatever the hell you need to send again. But when it comes to human lives, we don't have any room for error. So therefore, don't make any mistakes. And I think this thing with it not being taken serious was a big mistake, and it just is what it is at this point. But like I said, obviously this is a podcast about personal and professional development and self improvement. And Donald Trump, if you're listening, I think you need to go ahead and listen to our podcast on leadership as well. You definitely need to do that. We need to put you through a class on that, buddy. But anyway, it just is what it is. We're going to move on to the next topic. And our next topic is actually going to be about the House Democrats. And they went ahead and they brought up this bill, this new HEROES Act bill, which is supposed to be our second stimulus that's supposed to go ahead and send some relief to the people of the United States. And unfortunately, this bill is so outlandish that I don't see. I mean, and let's be very transparent with it. I totally do not see the Senate passing this bill. I mean, it is freaking nuts. Okay. There's a couple of things on there that stand out. Okay. That is not going to actually work for America in general. Okay. One big thing is they went ahead and they gave a stimulus that federally aids those that are on unemployment. Okay. Now, I know in the state of Georgia, I believe, man, I'm going back from like 2012 statistics. After taxes, as high as you can get in Georgia, your net pay on unemployment would be $330 a week. Now, that was about 8 years ago. So will it have increased a little bit? I would think so. It would probably be a little bit over the 400 range, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't know. I don't know. I don't collect unemployment, so I wouldn't know. But I do know back in 2012 that their max payout for unemployment was $330 a week. Okay. Now they went ahead, a part of the, I believe it was the CARES Act, which is the Coronavirus Aid and Relief, whatever the hell it is. Sorry, I don't remember the acronym. But what they did was, obviously, it was a $2 trillion stimulus bill that was to actually help aid the American people. They were giving about $500 to each child in the household. $1,200 to each adult in the American households, as well as bailing out the airline industry, which they always do. Let's just say bailing out Delta, because Delta is the airline industry. Again, right? This multi-billion-dollar business a year, and they need a freaking bailout because people stop flying for a few months. Whatever. So anyway, they get this bailout. They're doing what they have to do, and they're trying to bring the second stimulus onto the table. And I'm not stating that the first one was the greatest thing in the world, because it wasn't great, but it was better than nothing. Okay. What people need to understand is that, especially these House Democrats bringing up this bill, they're not taking the accountability that they're being absolutely absurd with how the way this bill is written. And there's no way in hell that this thing is going to pass the Senate. Now with the Republicans in that office, So what they're trying to actually do is, like I mentioned about the unemployment, they're collecting an additional $600 on top of what they make on their unemployment weekly. Okay. So let's just say if it was at $330, you get an extra $600. You're almost getting $1,000 per week. Okay. And this bill is supposed to last. It's supposed to last until July. Okay. Obviously, many people who are receiving this unemployment on steroids, to be quoted by one of the House Democrats, forgot his name, irrelevant, don't care. He went ahead and stated that they'll be receiving this by July, but he said that he would like to see this happen till the end of the year, which it's not going to freaking happen. It's not going to fly. Sorry. You're talking about 5 additional months of this federal aid of money that's going to get depleted by people who are not working. And not only that they're not working, if you're making $1,000 a week to sit on your ass, are you going to go back to work anytime soon?
I mean, if I did, I was just saying because I'm bored. But other than that, if you're looking at a logistical and a more realistic term, I'll be a damn fool. But
JT, I'm not doing it. If I'm making about $600 a week and I can make about almost $1,000 by sitting on my ass, dude, I'm not doing it. You know what I'm doing? I'm playing Madden all day long. I'm not doing shit. The way. You better believe that. Season 22 on the way, bro. I've been playing for so long. I would have been like JT back in 2003 in South Korea, where all he did was play Madden. He didn't even work anymore because that's how bad they were treating him when he was stationed in Camp Red Cloud. That they were like, we're just gonna leave Sergeant Taylor alone. And he's just gonna play Madden all day long. This dude was on season 22, and all the players that were in Madden had already retired. He was playing with a whole bunch of generated, rostered players from Madden generated players. Like there was no player that was left. If they would have known, Tom Brady would have still been playing on there. If they would have known, right? Tom Brady was playing until he was 45. Tom Brady would have been the only guy that was playing. Everybody else would have been retired. But anyway, that's right, even Laroni. But I'm telling you, if I'm collecting almost $1,000 a week to sit on my ass, I am not going back to work. And that's what the House Democrats went ahead and they proposed, that they want these folks to receive this aid until December. It's not realistic. Then we already know that they spent $2 trillion already on this last stimulus bill. Now they're asking for an additional $3 trillion. Then on top of that, right? And don't get me wrong, this is what's going to end up happening. Okay, I have no problem. People want to see, you know what? Hey, man, I busted myself ever since I've been in the workforce, and they've never taken time off, and they got the time. Enjoy it. Do what you got to do. But eventually, think about getting back to work, because when there's people that are actually thinking with the logical mindset sense of, okay, I need to go ahead and grab me a job, because as soon as the market dries up where they're not hiring anybody and these people end up coming off of that unemployment that was on steroids, these people are going to be hurting, and I'm going to be working, and I'm going to be making whatever I make weekly, which is going to be more than the unemployment that's going to be, even if they were to pass this thing by January 2021. you going back to making $300 a week, and it ain't gonna be enough because you don't got used to this lavish lifestyle of living, making $1,000 a week and not doing nothing. Sorry, it's just not going to work. It absolutely isn't going to work. So that's just that's my take on it. And then they talk about spending 75, not million, $75 billion on coronavirus testing and contact tracing. In other words, finding out the root of why people are getting sick and how they're getting sick. How the hell would you know what's going to be the root? If I got sick, if I took my ass to Applebee's, went to Home Depot after that, then forgot I had to go pick up some toilet paper, which hopefully they have some in Walmart, but if not, I've got to go to the local Dollar General. Nobody's going to know that. The only thing that makes sense, that makes some true sense, okay, is that, of course, they want to try to do what they can to stimulate our local postal service, which makes sense. Obviously, stuff has to be shipped. And those folks have been getting the bad end for a long time. If you recall, JT, when we all got out of the military, we all wanted to go work for the post office.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that, man? You go work for the post office, man. You ain't make this money. It's a government job, yada, yada, yada. And now it's like they contract everything out. It's no longer the postal service that we know. FedEx, UPS, especially Amazon Prime now, has thrown a big kink in that game. So now they're contracted out. They're temp workers, delivery and everything. So I totally get that. You know what I mean? Well, you want to help those folks out, but you're talking about trying to trace back on how people received the coronavirus, how people were contracting the coronavirus, how we're going to trace back to them, and how did this happen, and we're going to also we're going to go ahead and give people an additional $600, not because it's up in July, but no, we're going to do it till December, till the end of the year, because that's what they're entitled to. And it's a big dumpster fire, brother. And there's no accountability there, because what the House Democrats, they're trying to do is they're enabling people, man. That's all they're doing. You're enabling an economy that is going to be so dependent on the government. Dude, it's socialism. And what is socialism compared to? Communism, where the people no longer, we can't, that's what makes our country the greatest country in the world. Okay? Like, we believe in capitalism, man. We believe in commerce. You know what I mean? You got socialist countries, man, same as communism. It's the same thing, where they can't give the money to the people because the people don't know what to do with it. So we'll just go ahead and take care of their expenses, and we'll just do what we got to do from there, just to ensure that they're okay. We're just taking care of the people. No, nonsense, because you're scared, because the people, people don't know what the hell to do with their money. It's unfortunate. But for those who do know what the hell to do with their money, you're going to go and punish them by go ahead and implement these practices. I mean, I'm telling you, man, we're going to look like a socialist society, and that's not the way to go. Hey, man, like I said, call me ignorant if you want to, but I'm a conservative. I believe in capitalism, and I damn sure believe in my Second Amendment rights, which is my right to bear arms. So mess around if you want to, but I got a couple of things for you. So it is what it is, man. But I truly, like I said, I truly believe that you're enabling people. You're not holding them accountable to a higher standard, because JT, think about it this way, right? If you're in a situation where you're like, man, I lost my job, how am I going to do this? We both know this. We both been through this situation before, where it's like, okay, we have to come up with this backup plan, so then that way we can go ahead and we can catapult ourselves further. No, we don't say, I'm going to go sit on my ass and I'm going to wait for the government to take care of me because that's what I'm entitled to. Where's the accountability in that? It's your fault you got laid off. It's your fault you're not making any money. It's your fault you're not being resourceful. It's your fault that you're screwing up. And then you got this little economy here, this government that wants to take care of you. They don't want to take care of you. You're just a damn number. You know what I'm saying? So they're enabling your behavior because it's another way to control you. And if you don't want to be I mean, and I'm honest to God says, if you do not want to be controlled and you want to take your matters into your own hands, I got a word for you, man. It's called accountability. Take accountability of your own shit. Do what you're supposed to do. Take care of your business and move forward and stop looking for a handout and for somebody to help you out and for you to freaking feel sorry for yourself. Because you want to know something? Last time I checked, man, poor man ain't never gave me no damn job. Person who ever gave me a job in the private sector was somebody who was wealthy. So I don't expect the damn government to take care of me. It's not how it works. But I tell you like this, I did what I need to do for Uncle Sam. And yeah, Uncle Sam does help me with my health benefits, but you know what? I believe that was a good trade-off. I gave you some of my life, okay, as well as served this damn country during 2 wars and did what I needed to do. Yeah, you know what? You make sure you take care of my, you take care of my stuff. If I got a damn, have a surgery of some sort, yeah, it's okay. You go ahead and cover for it. It'll be okay. But with that being said, man, that's how I feel about it, man. You have to be accountable for your own actions. You have to stop looking for a handout, stop doing all this other stuff, get off your ass, and start making it happen. That's the only way you're gonna do it. Anyway, I want to let you just rant, man, for like 15 minutes. Just go, man. I don't care. Just go. Tell these people how they need to be accountable, JT. Yeah. Tell them, man.
Well, like you say, all in all, with this here, just a basic rundown. Like you said, yeah. If you if you're a person who lets the government run you, you're gonna be dead before you know it. Because one, you're already a fool if you think they're on your side. For one, trust me. And if it looks like they're on your side, because they got a better plan that puts them in the driver's seat, but maybe you just too blind to see it. So, if this don't help you, hopefully someone else can talk to you. But now is the time to really get your mind right and realize that the government was never your friend, and they never will be your friend unless you work for them or you're in that bloodline. Yeah.
JT, let me put it in perspective for you, man. Look, if the House Democrats really wanted to help the people out, they would have never put together this outlandish bill that they're presenting to the Senate, which is going to get completely rejected like Matumbo, goddamn taking your ass out in the paint, okay? Like, it's going to get rejected, and guess what you're doing? You're still hurting American households that may need the stimulus. So now you got to go back and rewrite it. That's going to take another 2-3 weeks. So the further, the more you keep on messing up, the further it pushes back helping the American people. If these people cared about your ass, don't you think they would come out with something that was reasonable? Because they don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, no matter, whether there's a bipartisan agreement or whatever's going on, both parties, everybody's still getting paid, except the people that are hurting the most. The decision makers are still making their money instead of the people that are waiting. If they cared, or if these folks really cared about you, they will put something reasonable and move with a sense of urgency, as opposed to be like, oh yeah, we're just trying to help out the people. And man,
no,
Republicans ain't going for that shit. Come up with something that's understandable, because at the end of the day, man, hey, money you don't have a press machine and just money just comes out and that's it. All this stuff has to go through economic approval, man. If you guys don't know anything about the Federal Reserve, there's plenty of freaking videos on YouTube about how the Federal Reserve works. Stop being blind. Understand how money is made. Understand what's the value of money, and understand where it actually comes from. And if you say from trees, you're a goddamn idiot. All right? I don't mean to sound negative. I'm really not trying to sound negative, but there's a lot of people that are still sleeping because they think that people are going to take care of them. That's why this show is so important about accountability, man, because so many people, man, they stay in this trance, man, like they're sleeping and they're not thinking about being accountable. A lot of people will realize that their life would enhance more than 50% if they just took accountability for their own actions. If you know you're eating like a slob, stop eating like a goddamn slob. You want to eat like a slob? Here goes some salad dressing. Here goes some salad. Here goes some vegetables. Get you a little protein with a salmon or a chicken breast. Man, have at it. Okay? Put down the goddamn hamburger. The double whopper is not going to get you where you want to be if you want to have the body of an Adonis. It's not going to happen. Okay? If you want to be wealthy, start thinking about things that's going to generate revenue instead of buying bullshit that's not going to make you any money. Things that make you money are called an asset. Things that cost you money and don't generate any revenue is called a liability. So stop being a liability, sir, ma'am. Do what you're supposed to do, get on top of your game, and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Now off of that particular like it's on the same subject, but that particular topic of where I was getting at. Now we're gonna go and switch to the actual topic at hand. Like, okay, so you know the election's coming up real soon, and it's all playing a part in it. So just like you said, even though that the the deal that was presented from the House was absurd, it was definitely absurd, and of course the Senate will be like, "You're idiots," and they like say this is like say more likely won't get done, but at least going to take about another month or two before they even, I think, come to even making sense. You know what I mean, for the terms to agree to anything. But like you said, in the end, whatever, how long you want to be jerks, you already got your money, you're set, your family's set. It's not affecting them. But the people who are here, who's struggling, who really wants to make a living, these are the people that it affects, because now we have to sit here and play mind games. Actually, no, we have to sit here and watch you play mind games. You guys' lives is now our hand. I mean, our lives is in your guys' hands, but you're playing mind games. But so now that just goes to show, don't put your life on their hands. You need to take your life in your hands. And even though you don't make a lot of money, but you have to find a way to have money, invest money, save money. Because if you, the person who is relying on a stimulus check to save you, basically what that's telling you is that you wasn't doing what you were supposed to do with your money in the first damn place. And you're basically relying on the government to save you in general. And you're going to fall harder than they do. Because they know they're going to fall. Because the money is already broken. We've been behind in money. We're not improving. And like you say, to give $1,000 to people who to do nothing, and you're talking about millions of people doing nothing, and you're trying to give everybody that amount of money. How much more? Okay, so when this stops, how much further are we going to be in debt? We're never going to get back out of this debt. So you know what that means? Our power going to be gone. Somebody else is going to have power, and they realize money will never be spent or used the way it should. So this is why in the near future, they're going to destroy money in general, and they're going to just have a universal money. It's the same way as a universal government, because when these two cannot agree like they are now, and we're never getting money like we should, like we are now, that's their reason to change the way things are. So the whole thing of this is like it makes the House look like, hey, we're trying to really help the people with this. But you see, the Senate is not trying to play fair. Well, the reason why the House looking so good or trying to look good in this because they realized the last time stimulus was used, they failed and they made the people look bad. They don't want to be the scapegoat this time around. So that's why they're using this heavy amount of money towards the people. Even though, in a sense, I know you're saying that you're looking out for the people, but in the end, it's going to backfire because when it comes to the next tax year or tax season or whatever, when the government gives away money, you better believe they're going to get their money back. So therefore, if I was the actual middle class or poor person, American, or anybody worldwide, you might want to be able to invest your money or be careful with your money the best way you can because don't think you're balling off the government because you're going to be wearing the biggest L on your forehead or wherever else you can place on your body. And
absolutely,
you know, and like I say, also it's like I say they just making themselves look good for the 2020 election, which is Joe Biden will more likely be running on the Democrat side of things. And I mean, you see, every politician has his dirt. So he's not gold. The only reason that he may look better because of Trump doing so much dirt and or other things since he's been in the office, it making him look a little bit better than what he really is. But it's almost like right now, none of them really good. It's just who you believe more in the next 4 years. That's all it is. And so yeah, man, this whole thing overall, man, like it just making the election look a little bit, actually a lot different than your past elections. But it's basically all lined up to be a disaster in the long run. But just do your research, play smart, and do the best you can to withstand all this political drama. Because don't get washed up in it. That's pretty much the deal with that, man. It's just a big whirlwind, almost like a cyclone, typhoon, tsunami, hurricane, whatever you want to call it. That's big, all in one.
all in one. Gotcha. Oh man. Well, anywho, that is going to conclude our show for today. If you want to hit us up, feel free to hit up on Instagram at Rolo Runs the City. You can also hit up my Twitter at Rolo Runs the City. And feel free if you want to drop a line to JT on Instagram at So Amazing 24/7. Feel free to definitely hit us up, man, if you guys got any questions. If you guys want to say something, shout out, or just tell us to basically go somewhere, we can do that. But we're definitely gonna go ahead and keep this coming for you. JT,
Once
sign us
again,
out of here, bro.
we'd like to thank all of you for tuning in for the Rebirth Volume 2, our Episode 2. However you want to see it. Like I say, it was very, very good, knowledgeable show. We're just regular, dudes from the street who really try to understand, life in a better terms. So, we're not your guy that's going to use the big words and everything, but we're trying to better understand the world just like all of you. But we try to pick up, we try to understand what's going on, and we're just trying to drop jewels for you guys so that, you all be prepared for the storm of what's to come. I always want to say this too. There's a lot of people out here who they sit here and identify the problem, but they don't have any solutions. So therefore, we're people who like to either deliver a solution or would like to get with people who may have an idea at a solution and come together as one because in order to sustain and survive this chaos going on, the 99%, which is us, we need each other. Without that, the 1% will drag this world to the ground. And hey, man, like I say, stay tuned. We're coming with another show real soon. Once again, it's a blessing for my brother from another mother, Rolo C. And yes, he actually does run the city. And hey, until then, man, we're gonna do this again next time. We out.
Yes, sir. Take care, people. Godspeed. And beware. We coming back. Roller C, JT.